girl, have the audacity to
walk away.
The Conversations at Ruby's Roundtable is about starting where you are with what you have, taking bold risks and betting big on yourself. That, in a nutshell, is exactly what I'm doing with this podcast, singing, developing a clothing line, and mentoring after having the audacity to quit my TV news job. So I'm telling you about all the challenges and wins along the way. I'm also inviting familiar and respected risk takers, innovators, energizers, entrepreneurs from other careers you may know who are also beating the odds. Through these conversations at the table, not only will you have resources and takeaways to apply to your own journey, but all the motivation for you to take that leap of faith fearlessly. So, will you have the audacity to join us?
It's given when you did them, I'm like, so this is the nail doctor. This is who the nail doctor is.
That's a good feeling. That's a good feeling.
How did you come up with the name?
So I was working in a salon, and this is when I was like a brand new baby nail tech, and I got all the throwaway clients. So like all the clients that the owner didn't want to do are the clients that I got.
Okay.
And they would come in with their nails just looking crazy. And I took a lot of pride in my work then the same way I do now. So I was really taking a lot of time to fix up their nails. And people would be like, oh my gosh, you're like a nail doctor. And I said, oh, y'all said something right there.
Right.
That was cute. So I stuck with it because I remember I was just calling myself the nail doctor. And then when I was opening my shop, I didn't know what to name it. I was really struggling with a name. And my mom was like, why don't you just name it the Nail Doctor and Co? Like you and then everybody else who's in here.
Right.
The Nail Doctor and Co. So
here we are.
Yeah, here we are 5 years later.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ryan Baker, the nail doctor, founder, owner. And you've been doing this since you were a teenager.
Yes, yes.
How does it feel? You just celebrated your 5-year anniversary.
Yes.
How does it feel knowing that you're sticking to it, you pushing through it?
And everyone kept asking me this last night when I was at my celebration dinner, and they were like, have you reflected? How do you feel? And I was like, I don't know, because it doesn't even feel like 5 years. Like I remember everything. It feels like yesterday. And I don't know. I think I'm just, if anything, I feel grateful that I did stick it out, because 6 months after I opened, we closed because of COVID.
Right.
We had to, so I didn't really have a choice but to close. So I just feel grateful. I don't know. There's not really many other feelings. Business ownership is really hard. It's not fun the way people make it out to be.
Right.
Like there's a lot more hardship that comes with it than anything. So when you cross each milestone and you continue to make it, I feel like the only feeling that is left is gratitude and almost like a sense of relief, like, whew.
Right.
Oh, I did it again. Okay.
That passion, is that what keeps the drive going at the end of the day?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was recently talking with a friend of mine, and we were talking about her journey as an entrepreneur. And I was just telling her, you know, motivation isn't enough. Like motivation wears away. At some point or another, you either have to be passionate or you have to have discipline. But like motivation itself will not carry you through to do anything. Like at some point, the motivation wears away. And it's the same way when we approach diets or working out and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have a beach body in like 30 days.
Yeah.
And you're like on it on the first day. You went grocery shopping, you got all this stuff. And then by like the end of the week, you're like, I want a bag of chips.
Right.
And I want some cake. And so the motivation has worn off. And now it's up to you to be disciplined and decide, like, you know, do I really want my life to look different? So that's just all it comes down to.
And then when you have a team, do you think there's extra pressure? Because while you have to be disciplined yourself, if you have a team, you have to be that leader, that motivation for them to understand why it's necessary to keep going.
Yes, for sure. It's a big responsibility to be responsible for others and to have to be a leader. And a mistake that I made very early on, and I blame social media for it, is because it's this whole boss culture. Everyone wants to be a boss. Everyone wants to be a boss. Well, being a boss and being a leader are two very different things. I could easily walk into a room and boss everyone around and then, you know, not do anything myself. But being a leader is also showing by example and having that follow through and having the passion to not just want to boss people around, but really bring out the best in them and play on their strengths and build up their weaknesses. So it's a lot. We just had a staff meeting the other day and everyone was like, they were like, oh my gosh, she's going to fire us. And I was like, y'all are not getting fired. I was like, but we are, we are tightening things up around here. It's 5 years. We need to, we need to do different. We need to show up differently.
Right.
So they were not happy, but they will be fine at the end of it. Yeah.
Where did you learn this maturity? Where did you learn this direction in you that's like, okay, I'm going to be the example and I'm going to lead by example?
I think some things you only have to learn by trial and error. So I was always driven to be my own boss. Like I always knew I wanted to do that. But I was not a good boss and I was not a good leader when I first started. I was 19 years old. So I was still learning myself as a woman. I was growing into womanhood. And then I was also growing into leadership. And like I said, my mind really was ruled by that whole like boss, and not learning how to be a leader. And, you go into work and you see the culture of work and you're like, this isn't really the culture that I want to have. I want to do something differently. And I don't want to have the label of a boss that was unfair or a boss that was demanding more than she was putting in. And so I just wanted to make sure that I was always being fair and that my judgment was fair and that my decisions and rules were fair. And that came naturally with age. That growth just came with age. The older I got and the more my mind matured and my emotions matured, I was able to make smarter decisions.
Right. I always say, starting a business, owning a business, you have to check yourself first.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't have such qualities, then that will bleed into the business and people will be able to see that. Is that hard? Or do you think that's just goes back to that discipline? If you want this, then you need to do this.
It's a conversation of discipline. And that's all, to me, that's what everything boils down to. Like, are you disciplined enough to do it? And it shows up in the smaller moments more than it does the bigger moments. And that was kind of what our staff meeting was about the other day. I was like, guys, I know you're in a rush to get out of here at the end of the day. Like, I've asked you guys to do certain things. You guys don't do them. Now we got to have a cleaning chart. Like now you guys got to check in with me and make sure that it's done. But those little things make a really big difference when people come in and they sit in our chair and they say, wow, it's so clean in here. Wow, everything is organized. Wow, you're set up for me. Wow, you were prepared for me. I didn't come in here and you were setting up and getting ready for me. Those little things make a big difference and they all kind of add up. So it all goes back to discipline and being disciplined enough to do the small stuff. Everyone wants the big rewards, but they want to skip the small stuff. And the small details are really, the saying is the devil's in the details. Like it's all right there. If you skip the small stuff, you're never going to get to the big rewards.
I love that. So describe the experience when someone walks into your shop. What do you want them to feel as soon as they walk in?
I want people to feel like when they walk in, like it's like the warmest, tightest hug by like the best smelling, flyest black lady that you know.
Ooh. Can I get a hug?
Yes, of course.
I want a hug. That just made me want to hug. Just in general. No, I definitely felt like that when I walked in. It was just like,
yeah.
We about to get these red nails.
Yeah, like playing up on sensuality, but still making it warm and inviting. And there's elements of comfort, but still, like I said, that luxury vibe and all that stuff. And so really playing into color theory. And I really sat down and thought about like, how do I want the colors and the space to make people feel when they walk in? So that was a big deal, but people don't pay attention to stuff like that. Again, it's in the details. And so it's one of those things where it's not enough to just provide a service and provide a good service. What is the ambiance? What is the experience that you're giving people? How does it make them feel? Down to the music that's playing. So it's all super, super, super important.
Yes, the red nail effect is here and we're about to take over the world.
Absolutely.
Shout out to the one and only,
the nail doctor.
Hey.
I was never allowed to get red polish growing up. And I just remember always saying like, the second I get grown, I'm doing red nails. and I did them long, and I did them red, and I just felt so powerful and so sexy. And then everyone else reacted to it and was like, oh,
yes,
this is it.
What is one thing that you learned about yourself as a businesswoman that you had to correct early on? Like something that maybe you were not good at or you needed to strengthen that now you're like, okay, I'm on top of it.
I think being a leader, I've always been very honest about that. Like in those early days, I just wasn't good at it. Like I was just giving out directives and like be sitting back on my phone, like, and everybody else is cleaning.
Right.
And it's one of those things where like people are moving away from, now more than ever, they're moving away from celebrity culture. And I don't consider myself a celebrity, but it's one of those things where people don't want to buy into what's not relatable anymore. People only want to support you, and they want to be around you and fellowship with you if they feel like there's something that they can relate to. So if I was separating myself from my team and kind of putting myself on this pedestal of, you guys clean and I'm over here doing this.
Right.
It doesn't make it seem like we're a team and that this is an effort. It makes it seem like for them, they're making money for me.
Right.
And they don't want to do that.
Right.
So it has to be a group effort, and it has to be, I'm leading, but I'm still a part of the team, and I'm putting in just as much of the grunt work as you guys are.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
5 years. What would you tell that 19-year-old today?
I think I would just say, like, I'm trying to think. It's a lot because there was a lot of stuff going on. It wouldn't be anything different than what I already did. Like, just keep going. And I did. Like, it was super hard. It was super challenging. 6 months after I opened, we were shut down because of COVID. And we were federally mandated to be closed for 3 months. I was terrified, and just everything that's ever happened throughout business, and I've experienced a lot of trials and tribulations, and I've just been like, okay, well, quitting's not an option, so we're just gonna keep going. And that's just kind of been my attitude towards everything, and it's worked. So I don't think there's anything that I would do differently other than saving my money. Oh my God, because I used to burn a hole in my pocket. So
as you were making it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Nobody talks about how in the beauty industry, you're basically making drug money. It's coming in
every day, right?
Literally every day. And if you spend the money, you can just, I'm just going to go to work and just open up my books and make some more. And so learning to be financially conscious is a very important decision that you're going to have to make early on to set yourself up.
Right. Do you feel like there was a specific time where you had to, it was like a moment where it's like, girl, get it together right now, because how are you doing it?
I would say, like, every time I looked at my bank account and I was like, where did all the money go? Like, I had so much of it. And I was like, oh my gosh. I started totaling up all the little transactions. And I was like, oh, okay. All that adds up. Like, even now, I'll be like, okay, I'm just going to run here really quick, here, like little tiny little baby errands. And then I'll be like, dang, I spent $400 today. What happened? I don't recall. So definitely being conscious and always having something set aside for a rainy day, because when it comes to entrepreneurship, there are always emergencies. Yeah. Something is always happening. Right. So it's very important to set yourself up for if something happens, not even if, when something happens, you're not ass out. Right. So
I think out of all the interviews so far that I've recorded, everybody talks about financial literacy. Yes. And just having a game plan, being knowledgeable, and setting yourself up. So I think that's the commonality so far between everybody, all the entrepreneurs.
Super important, because one, you need to know, a lot of times, especially the higher up you go in business, they're asking for profit and loss statements. They want to know what your projections are. And so just knowing that you make money is not enough. They want to know how much. So it's just about setting yourself up so that you can walk into bigger and better rooms and be prepared for it.
Yeah. Okay, dropping gems.
Very. Learn how to be good with your money. Or you're just always going to be in this cycle of poverty.
Right.
And I would say, you get a lot more bang for your buck when you're investing your money back into yourself. A lot of people want to make the money so that they can have the stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not an uncommon cycle. It was one that I was caught up in, because that's what you want. You want the stuff. You want to make the money so you can have the stuff. But, you know, clients look at that and they pay attention.
Right.
Like, are you walking around with a whole bunch of stuff, but there's nothing in here?
Right.
There's no upgrades being done. Like, the experience hasn't been enhanced. You're just raising prices.
Right.
And nothing over here has gotten better. So my clients are always able to remark, like, every time they come in here, they're like, girl, you doing something else? You always doing something. Every time they come in here. So
that's a good point. So if someone goes back to, I believe, 2021 when the Teen Vogue article came out.
Yes.
What is something that you would want someone to take away from that experience that you had the opportunity to get?
So that's one of those things where I will always like have that on my resume because it was such a big deal and I was so early on in my career. But the part that people really don't know is that when we shot that, I want to say it was in November or December of 2020. And that was a really hard time for me personally and professionally.
Okay.
Really, really, really hard time. And I was so excited to have this opportunity, but I was kind of almost like rushing the blessing. I wanted it to hurry up and come out because there were some things going on behind the scenes that I almost kind of wanted to be like, rub it in people's faces, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
Like you hating on me, like you're trying to attack me behind the scenes,
right.
And like, boom, look
right.
at this. And I had to keep it under wraps until it came out.
Right.
Well, it didn't come out until July of 2021. And by that time, I had kind of not really forgotten I'd done it, but like I didn't know when it was going to come out. Like I didn't know anything. And it came out at the perfect time. And it really gave me a big lesson about persevering through things silently and not having to have this need to defend myself publicly. Like God is going to defend me. My work will speak for itself. And so it came out at a time where my mind was in the right space to not be doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
For lack of a better way of phrasing. But yeah, that was so exciting. That was a really, really fun process. Yeah. And I made sure I did it with my friend. So a friend of mine, her name is Autumn Naomi, and she is a stylist. And so I brought her on and I had my friends do my makeup. I had my hairstylist who's been doing my hair since I was 12, do my hair. So I wanted to make sure in anything that I do that is a big opportunity, I always want to make sure that I'm extending it to my community and to my village and putting other people's name in the door. So that was fun for me because I got to share it with people that I love and I enjoy, and it's just been a timeless project for me. Like that's something I can still keep at the top of my resume. So
as you should.
I love it.
As you should. And motivation too, hopefully, for when you have those days where you're like, oh, it's not working out, or, you know, where am I at right now in my process? What am I doing? You go back to like, look what you've already been through, and Vogue is next.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Vogue is next. Teen Vogue to Vogue, like it's going to happen.
Yeah. It definitely makes me feel like a trailblazer, and I don't want to, like I said, I don't like to separate myself from others or feel like I put myself on a pedestal. But as far as the beauty industry goes, it has not been face forward, hardly like ever. Normally it's just the work, and whoever is doing the work has no notoriety and they're behind the scenes. And so to be at the time 22 years old and on the cover of Teen Vogue and being posted to their main page and all that stuff, like it was really big because it was like, no, like beauty professionals, Black beauty professionals are getting recognition, and young women. And that's a really big deal for me. So I was really appreciative. And the women that I was on the cover with, they're phenomenal. One of them was a 16-year-old that opened a beauty supply out in DC. And then the other one, I believe she was in her early 20s as well, but she had a plant-based hair extension company. Like phenomenal young Black women. And that was a really, really, really big deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So today, in this culture, this society, in this time where beauty is top of mind for every woman and they're trying to figure out their style or just where they fit in, even as an entrepreneur in the business, how would you change the culture? How would you want to change something that may not be evident right now, or that's kind of on the back burner for the women who is getting the service and also the woman who is providing the service?
I would say there needs to be, as far as for service providers, there needs to be a lot more respect on the service providers' names. Like, this is so crazy. When it comes to nails in the beauty industry, we're like bottom of the totem pole. And I don't get that. And it's weird because out of all the services, like next to hair, your nails last the longest. Like, my clients only got to come see me once a month. And I was very intentional about that as well, about separating myself in that way. This is luxury. You are going to pay top dollar, and there will be respect of both me and my team. And that was and is a non-negotiable to this day. And especially as we continue to build a brand name and have notoriety and a good reputation, the respect has to be there, because we respect you. We respect your time. We respect that, you know, you want to come in here and patronize us, and we're super grateful for that. You have to respect us back. So I would like to see more respect for service providers, especially nail service providers. But for the clientele, I would really like to see more respect for Black women that are underrepresented, but super, super, super stolen from all the time. When you look at stuff that's on the runway or things that make its way into high fashion, it's put on white bodies, but it's stolen from Black women that are not represented in those arenas. So, you know, a lot of stuff that we see in high fashion or nail trends, girls in the hood was doing that. Like 20, 30 years ago. And they're not getting the respect. They're not sitting at those tables. They're not getting the credit. And, you know, oftentimes when it's on these innovative Black women, it's called ghetto and it's called trashy. And it's like, it has a lot of negative remarks behind it. And then a year later, you see it on somebody's runway. And it's like, well, what happened? I thought it was ghetto. I thought it was trashy. I thought this was stupid. And it's, you know, people really make a bad habit of knocking Black women for their innovation and for their creativity and for their mind. And so I would like to see a lot more respect in that regard. Yeah.
Put some respect on it. Put some respect on it. R-E.
Yes. Yeah. I'm very serious about that.
I love that. No, I love that transparency. There is a young Ryan who is wanting to start a nail business, but her mom is like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. What advice would you give her?
Y'all better stop listening to y'all's parents. y'all better quit. People always ask, you know, how I got started with nails. And I was like, oh, because my mom told me I couldn't get my nails done. And I think you need to not take it personal when your parents are telling you no, not to do something, because a lot of times it doesn't really have anything to do with you, but it is a projection of their fears or their lack of capability. And that's not necessarily a negative thing, but a lot of times people allow fear to hold them back. And so they have all these reservations and all these why they could not. And then they have kids and they throw those projections onto them. And my strongest advice has always been, just do it. If you know you want to do it and that's all that matters, just go do it. You don't need opinions and other people to tell you that it's okay to do it. Because at the end of the day, it's your life to live. It's not your parents' life. They had their chance. They had their chance to live their life and make their decisions, and they chose. So you choose for yourself. I think that was a lesson that my dad imprinted on me pretty early on, was that there were a lot of things that he had wished he had done and tried, and he did not. And I was like, okay, cool. Not going to be me. Like, and I took heed to that lesson. And that's not even to say that when I was starting a business, and even in this pursuit of the second one, that he still does not express reservations, my mom as well. But these are my decisions to make. And a lot of times, like I said, it's not something that I think I would advise anybody to take personal, because there are parents, they don't want to see us fall. They don't want to see us fail. And so a lot of times it's projection, but they're also trying to protect. And they're trying to hold you close. And it's like, it's fine. If I fall and excuse my French, if I fuck up, like, that's on me. I have to pick up the pieces.
And there's a lesson in that.
Yeah. Like, it's okay. Yeah. It's fine. So stop listening to y'all's parents. Do whatever you want.
Be rebellious.
Yeah, be rebellious. It's going to save you. I promise.
Or the women that are going to be their own boss in your suites. How do you want them to feel once they are in their own space? Is there like this foundation that you want them to kind of know about you and how you built up the suites, the creativity that went into it, just the inspiration that went into it that you want them to feel when they walk in?
I want them to feel like this is a stepping stone to whatever they want their future to be. Like I said, a lot of people are obsessed with being a boss, and I want people to take it from me that you don't always have to take it so far. Like, there is a lot of pride in being a suite owner, and having your own little corner and really maximizing that. And that could be a great way for you to still have something that's your own, but maximize your profits. You don't have to go get a storefront. Like, you don't have to be like me, I promise. Like, you know, and really use that as a stepping stone to really stack up your money and decide and really grow. And I think the best thing that you could do is start off in a suite once you've worked for someone else. I think it is really important to get experience working for other people so that you can watch other people make mistakes. Okay. So that way you have them to learn from. So when you are going to go open up your own business, you kind of have a foundation and you know what you do and do not want to do. But really using that to create the demand so that should you want to open up a storefront, you've created it to where you have literally outgrown your salon suite. Right. I don't want to tether anybody to a space. I even feel the same way about my salon and my team in my salon. I don't expect anyone to stay forever. I just want this to be a safe landing space for you to build yourself up until you're ready to go.
I was telling someone earlier how I believe God will use them as a vessel.
Yes.
And I feel that, like, with you just saying, I want you to grow. I want this to be a safe landing space. Like, that is you just being that vessel to others and empowering them by showing your transparency, but then also how you're getting to it.
Yeah, for sure. And we have a lot of transparent moments in the salon, and I always, for some reason, I always get like the crazy clients, like the people that just show out, and the girls are like, I'm so glad it was you because, you know, if it were me, I would have done X, Y, and Z. And I'd be like, and let's talk about why that's bad and why you should not do that. Right. But I want them to have that space to be able to even be able to express that without being called unprofessional or ghetto again, like those terms. Like, everything I do, and I've always been very clear about this, everything I do is for the uplift and for the benefit of Black women. Right. And so I want them to have this safe space to be able to kind of navigate professionalism as well and use me as the guinea pig, because we weren't always given this seat at the table. And so there is a little bit of a disconnect in the professionalism across the beauty industry and just across entrepreneurship in the Black community. But we're also like severely behind. And so there does need to be some room for some grace and for a learning curve and figuring it out and troubleshooting. And so if I can do that within my space and send them out into the world better than how they came to me, I'm okay with that. You can do it with short nails. You see, mine are doing it too.
Yes, I can. Okay. I had a business owner that I interviewed, and she said that the biggest thing for her was creating 7 streams of income within her business. Yes. Is that what you're doing with having your brick and mortar, and then also pivoting to suites? Are you kind of building different incomes within the one, or do you see your go big moment in a different direction?
I have a lot of things that I'm good at and a lot of things that I want to do. And I think that it's important, this way you said, to, you know, allow God to let you be a vessel to kind of just see the direction that he takes you. So right now I'm operating within the beauty space because I love it and I'm passionate, and there are a lot of avenues that you can take. But honestly, like my big legacy moment is prison reform. And I want to use the beauty industry to navigate into the prison reform space. So, you know, just using that to be a vessel. I think you just have to go with your move until God directs you otherwise.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah. I can tell you have a question about it.
How would you either pivot or combine the two?
So it's a combination. So what I want to get into is sponsoring licensing for and the education for women in correctional facilities and juveniles, because a lot of recidivism is because that people cannot get jobs when they come out. And so that's why we see a lot of turnover into the penal system. And they've set it up that way on purpose so that they can make trillions and trillions of dollars off of your body. And I feel like if women have a trade that they can take with them wherever they go, and a license only costs $20 a year, I'll be the sponsor and I'll be the educator so that we can decline those numbers on recidivism and rehabilitate people back into society.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Think big.
Yeah,
Think
sure.
big.
For sure. And you know, people may look at nails as just nails, but that's what I'm saying when I say it can be a vessel towards what you really, really, really want.
Right.
And that's my big legacy moment when I want people to talk about me from years from now, or, you know, once I'm gone, I want them to say, like, she really left her mark on prison reform. Like, yes, it's a big deal to make women feel beautiful, but it's an even bigger deal to really make an impact that can change a generation of a family, or just, you know, break a cycle for someone. So that's where I want my mark to be.
It will.
Yes.
It will. It's already growing and in you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank
I feel the
you.
energy. I see the glow.
Thank you.
That just inspired me
Thank
so
you.
much. Like, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Woo. Okay, girl. So when we talk about your story, when we talk about who you are, where you are right now, where you want to go, how would you finish this sentence? Girl, have the audacity to
walk away. Yeah, it's very important to know when to walk away and to not delay walking away. I think as women, we spend a lot of times in situations that we know are not beneficial, whether that be personally or professionally. Like, we just try to stick things out. I want people to break away from that. Walk away.
Walk away.
Like, the second you know it's bad, get out of there.
Yeah.
Like, get the hell out of Dodge, for real.
Walk away.
And I'm a firm believer that God only removes to replace with bigger and better. So if you have the courage to walk away, you should feel comfort in knowing that something better is waiting for you on the other side of that. But the longer you stay in something that you know is not for you and it's not right, the longer you're going to suffer.
Right.
So just get up out of there.
Hey, listen, I'm trying to walk with you at this point. Can I walk with you?
Yes, come on.
Let me take a walk.
Of course.
No, this was very inspiring. This was very motivating, empowering, all the words. And I just hope you walk away today knowing that there are so many people rooting for you.
Thank you.
There's so many people who are probably in your tribe right now who are uplifted just by being in your presence. So keep being you.
Thank you.
And keep thinking big, because those around you are going to think big and execute so much just because of who you are.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I'm really honored and I'm super humbled. So I appreciate the opportunity.
No problem at all. This is Ryan Baker.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, you hard, student?